Beirut, there's mounting pressure on the Americans to pull out. The French withdraw 500 of their troops. The television challenge to South Africa's censorship. And 2 of the Liverpool Sextuplets are allowed home. Good evening. President Reagan is under new pressure to pull American troops out of Lebanon. He flew back to Washington tonight after his Christmas holiday, and White House officials say he's going to conduct a full-scale review of US policy in the Middle East. Today, France announced it's withdrawing 500 of its 2,000 men in Beirut and transferring them to the United Nations force in the south. Here, Labour's defence spokesman, Mr. Denzil Davis, said the government should bring home British troops. Earlier, the Democrats' leading contender for the White House, Mr. Walter Mondale, said American Marines should go because they can't fight, keep the peace, or defend themselves. 2 former CIA directors, Admiral Stansfield Turner and Mr. William Colby, backed his call. The chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, John Tower, will fly to Lebanon to see whether the Marines should withdraw. Security forces in Lebanon now estimate more than 3,000 people died in last year's fighting, including over 200 American troops. A third former CIA director, Mr. James Schlesinger, said the troops had failed to alter the balance of power held by the warring factions.
If we are not prepared to change that balance, then we have a choice of getting out. The worst of all policies is probably simply to hang in there, because under those circumstances, the costs for the United States will rise.
In Syria, the black Democratic hopeful for the White House, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, saw President Assad to try to win the release of a captured American airman. The Reverend Jackson later said America's policy in the Middle East was one-sided and dangerous. A group calling itself the Children of Sheikh Abdullah has claimed it planted the bombs on the French railways on New Year's Eve. It said they were revenge for a French air attack on the Islamic Amal movement's barracks near Baalbek in Lebanon in November. A man who was seriously injured by the bomb on the French train died today, bringing the death toll from the 2 railway bombs to 5. At home, the Queen has asked editors to remove reporters and photographers from her country estate in Sandringham, where the royals are on holiday. The family is said to be angry because they feel they can't move without being seen. Yesterday, the media was out in force for the Queen's arrival at Sandringham Church. Most papers have withdrawn their own staff, but some say they're reluctant to commit themselves to a blanket ban on pictures taken by freelance photographers. Sleet and snow and high winds have hit many parts of the country. Gusts of 85 miles an hour brought down trees and power cables in Devon and Cornwall, closing dozens of minor roads. 1 lane of the Tamar Bridge is also closed. In Scotland, main roads in Fife and the Borders were affected by black ice, making driving hazardous. A Nigerian newspaper has reported some fighting between the Presidential Guard and troops who went to detain President Shagari during Saturday's military coup. 1 unarmed brigadier was reported killed on President Shagari's orders. The new military ruler, Major General Muhammad Buhari, warned today that corrupt civil servants and wrongdoers would be jailed without trial. There are no telephone or telex services into the country, and the borders and airports are closed. Left-wing guerrillas in El Salvador have destroyed the key Cuscatlan Bridge on the Pan-American Highway, 60 miles east of the capital. The guerrillas say they dynamited it as the 200 American-trained troops guarding it celebrated the new year. The army say rebel cannon shells broke cables supporting a 300-yard section of the bridge. A new television station has started broadcasting in South Africa. It's based in the poor black African homeland of Bophuthatswana, which only South Africa recognises as an independent state.
This is the new alternative to South Africa's state-run television service. BOP TV, broadcasting from within the so-called independent homeland of Bophuthatswana, will beam out its signal to sprawling black townships near Johannesburg. BOP TV's opening night, the end of 5 years' negotiation with the South African government, was celebrated by its staff in style. Many of them are ex-Rhodesian television personnel who claim to have taken the first step in cracking SABC's stranglehold over television in South Africa. The programming is pretty tame stuff.
And we shall begin by showing you a program called Hoodie Hoodpecker.
Locally produced ethnic programs will also be aired. It's not exactly controversial television. But BOP TV does have its own satellite receiving dish, and its news staff say they won't be bound by the stringent government censorship that pervades the SABC.
Soccer dominated today's sports news. With today's stories and tonight's results, here's Jeremy Thompson.
Liverpool could have demoralised the rest of the First Division by beating Manchester United at Anfield. They failed, but only just. Norman Whiteside got the last-minute equaliser, which stopped Liverpool going 6 points clear after Craig Johnston had put them ahead. Not only did Liverpool lose 2 points, but Kenny Dalglish could be out for a month with a fractured cheekbone. So no change at the top, and West Ham remained third after a 2-2 draw at Notts County. Their neighbours Forest move ahead of Southampton with a 3-2 win at Luton. 2 Maurice Johnston goals for Watford completed a disastrous Christmas for Spurs, who lost 3-2. Ray Clements was even jeered by his own supporters as his team let in their 15th goal in 5 games. Sheffield Wednesday bounced back to the top of Division 2 with a 3-0 win over Oldham. Chelsea's short-lived reign was ended by defeat at Middlesbrough. Only goal difference keeps them ahead of Newcastle, who beat Barnsley 1-0. And Grimsby maintained their challenge with a 1-1 draw at Fulham.
Fulham had more than one chance of taking an early lead, this one falling to Davies. Batch in the Grimsby goal proving his worth. But unfortunately for him, Batch provided Fulham with their goal when he brought down Coney in the penalty area. Cliff Carr was given the job of taking the spot kick. In the second half, Grimsby made light of the difficult conditions and displayed skill in searching for the equaliser. Their centre-forward Drinkle did the right thing, but even he must consider himself fortunate to score. In the last quarter, as the rain beat down steadily, it was Fulham going for a much-needed victory, who pulled out all the stops. But Batch redeemed himself, helping Grimsby to keep the vital point they'll need in their push for promotion. Ian Edwards, ITN Sport, Craven Cottage.
Now check on tonight's games. In Division 1, Coventry 2, Sunderland 1. Division 3, Southend 2, Hull 2. Division 4, Chesterfield 0, Halifax 0. Crewe 2, Torquay 1. Northampton 1, Bury 0, Stockport 1, Hartlepool 0, and Swindon against Bristol City was postponed.
One Liverpool supporter to miss today's match was the father of the Liverpool Sextuplets, Graham Walton. 2 of his girls went home from Liverpool's maternity hospital. They were Kate and Jennifer in the centre of this Sunday Mirror photograph. They weigh £5 9 ounces and £6 3 ounces. That's it. Good night.